We spend much of our lives trying to manage, predict, and control everything around us. Our relationships, our careers, even our thoughts. Yet the more we tighten our grip on life, the more chaotic it seems to become. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Control gives us a false sense of safety, a comforting illusion that we are the masters of our fate. But deep down, we know that this illusion is fragile. Events happen without warning, people change, and circumstances shift in ways we could never have planned. The truth is, life has its own rhythm, one that doesn't bend to our will. When we live as though we must control everything, we create constant tension. Our minds are filled with worry. What if things don't go according to plan? What if I lose what I've built? This fear becomes our silent companion, whispering that disaster waits around every corner. But if we look closely, we can see that life has always unfolded in ways that are beyond our control, and yet, somehow, we've always found our way through. The illusion of control is like a mask we wear to protect ourselves from uncertainty, but it also hides the beauty of unpredictability. There's a quiet liberation in recognizing that we don't need to hold everything together. The universe has been spinning long before we arrived, and it will continue long after. When we stop trying to command every wave and instead allow ourselves to move with the tide, a deep sense of peace emerges. It's not resignation, it's understanding. Life doesn't need your control to flow. It only asks for your trust to experience its depth. Life is not a fixed structure made to obey our plans. It is a river that bends, twists, and flows in directions we cannot always see. We often approach it as if it were a machine to be engineered, every part calculated, every outcome measured. But existence is not mechanical, it is organic. It moves in spontaneous, unpredictable patterns, always shifting from one form to another. When we try to make life flow in straight lines, we lose the essence of its movement. Just as music is made of both sound and silence, life gains its beauty from contrast, from moments of stillness and bursts of chaos, from the calm and the storm alike. To live fully is to participate in this rhythm without trying to dominate it. The tree does not resist the wind. It bends, and in bending, it survives. We, too, must learn to bend, to move with the changing currents rather than fight them. When we stop labeling events as good or bad, we begin to see that everything has its place in the great unfolding. Even our struggles and uncertainties are part of the dance, shaping us in ways that force cannot. There's a deep wisdom in allowing life to flow as it is. In that allowance, something extraordinary happens. Our anxiety fades, replaced by a sense of effortless belonging. We become participants rather than controllers, witnesses rather than judges. The river doesn't ask where it's going. It simply moves, carrying with it the reflection of the sky. So too, when we stop forcing direction, life begins to move through us with grace. We realize that the flow was never something to master. It was something to remember we were already part of. To trust the natural order of life is to recognize that there is a deeper intelligence at work, one that moves through all things without the need for our constant supervision. We have been conditioned to believe that safety lies in control, that only by managing outcomes can we find peace. Yet, paradoxically, the more we try to direct life, the more anxious we become. Trust is the opposite of control. It is a quiet acceptance that the universe has its own timing, its own harmony, and that we are part of that harmony whether we realize it or not. When you trust, you stop treating life as an enemy to be conquered. You begin to see that even in moments of confusion, something unseen is unfolding perfectly. The seed doesn't question when to sprout, nor does the moon struggle to find its place in the night sky. Everything follows a rhythm, an unspoken law that guides all creation. In that rhythm, nothing is forced, yet everything happens. To live in trust is to allow yourself to move in step with that rhythm, to let go of the fear that things must always make sense before they can be right. Of course, trust doesn't mean blind faith or passive waiting. It means opening yourself to the idea that life knows more than you do, that its wisdom extends beyond your plans and preferences. Often, what feels like loss is clearing space for something new, and what feels like chaos is simply life reorganizing itself. When you begin to see this, the weight of control lifts from your shoulders. You no longer need to push the river because you understand that it's already flowing exactly as it should. There comes a moment when fighting against what becomes exhausting, when every attempt to force life into shape feels like pushing against an invisible tide. In that moment, surrender begins to whisper, not as defeat, but as relief. To surrender is to finally release the belief that things must always go our way. It is to stop struggling with the current and instead allow it to carry us. Many fear surrender because they think it means giving up. Yet true surrender is not about losing power. It's about discovering a deeper kind of strength, the strength that comes from trust, not control. When you surrender, you don't stop living with intention. You stop living with resistance. You begin to see that life moves on its own, whether you fight it or not. The waves still rise and fall. The sun still sets. The seasons still change. Your efforts to resist reality only create more tension, while acceptance opens the door to peace. In surrender, you no longer demand that life obey your expectations. Instead, you move with it, responding to its rhythm like a dancer following music. This kind of freedom feels different from the freedom we usually chase. It's not the freedom of having everything you want. It's the freedom of no longer being ruled by fear or control. In surrender, you find space, a quiet awareness that watches life unfold without panic or grasping. You realize that you are not separate from the flow. You are part of it. The same force that moves the stars and shapes the ocean is the one breathing through you right now. To surrender is to recognize this connection, to stop swimming against life, and finally allow yourself to float within it. When the need to control fades and the mind grows still, something simple yet profound begins to reveal itself. The quiet joy of simply being. Beneath all the noise, ambition, and constant striving lies a space of awareness, untouched by the world's demands. It doesn't need validation or achievement to exist. It simply is. In that stillness, life becomes vivid again. The colors seem brighter, the air feels lighter, and every small moment carries a subtle sense of wonder. It is as though you have stepped out of time and into the eternal present, where nothing needs to be added or fixed. To simply be is not laziness or escape. It is the recognition that existence itself is enough. You are not required to prove your worth or justify your place in the universe. The tree does not try to earn its right to stand tall, nor does the ocean question the meaning of its waves. In the same way, your being is its own purpose. The endless search for meaning often blinds us to the truth. That meaning is already here, in the act of breathing, feeling, and witnessing. This joy of being does not come from escaping pain or difficulty. It arises when we stop running from them. When we allow every emotion, every experience to come and go like passing clouds, we discover a peace that no external success can provide. In that peace, you see that life doesn't need to be improved to be beautiful. It only needs to be seen as it is. The joy of being is not something to achieve, but to remember. A silent awakening to the fact that existence, in its purest form, has always been enough